Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena. We're back once again with our Gruul Nikya mid-range list. So without further ado, let's not waste any time, let's get into it, and I'll see you all there. Okay, we're in. And this one's fine, I guess. Doesn't really get us to Nikya too much earlier, but a top deck's fine, and we got Thorn Lieutenant on too anyway. We could even lead off with a Stomping Ground, since Land of War Elves isn't going to ramp us into much, but I think we'll just do the Forest anyway. You never know what we might end up top decking. Hellkite, eh? Alright. Yeah, it's not too much of a trouble at the moment, just using Stomping Grounds on like turn 3 or next turn so we can play Thorn Lieutenant. So we're up against the Sultai mid-ranges apparently. Alright. Seems to be pretty much the main thing I see these days. So we can have 3 mana this turn, 4 next turn, which as I mentioned doesn't really let us do anything. But we can do Stomping Grounds tapped here and play Thorn Lieutenant since we can't go through the Branch Walker. And we have 4 mana next turn, which could be any number of things really. You know, we've got our Ferox, we've got our Domri, those are our 4 drops. We could also get some 3 mana stuff. Oh, sweet. We get a 1/1. I'll take it. And I'll also take the 3. Hey, Ferox. Look at that. Alright, so. Swinging. Oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, I'm an idiot. Shouldn't have swung with the Land of War Elves. Could have played Nullhide there. Instead, we're going to play Nikya. And he did dump that Vraska's Contempt. So, we should be okay to resolve a Nikya. Ooh, Domri. Huh. That's problematic. Because I do want to get Domri underneath this Nullhide and this Nikya. But we're facing down quite a bit of damage. I suppose Domri can survive. Especially considering we got 2 blockers here. Yeah, we could do that. And I'm going to minus him. Minus him essentially since the tick up doesn't do anything and it doesn't change what happens next turn. And now we have extra resources to work with. So even if Domri dies, we got something out of him. But yeah, now we can tick him up and do some riot shenanigans potentially. We'll see how he attacks, because if he does want to kill Domri... Well, that's annoying. Okay. We got loads of Feroxes, though, so we're just going to value our opponent out here. Let's see if he, like, double attacks into Domri to trade off a Branch Walker for it. Yeah, I'll take that.
No, I'm not finished with you. Not by a long shot.
Yeah, I would have had a Ferox out, so that ended up backfiring a wee bit. But we get Nikya down, and we've got all this action in hand with double mana now. So we can do some pretty crazy stuff next turn. Got a Vivian. Alright.
You can't stop nature.
Lucky for us, we can destroy Vivian in a whole manner of different ways. Hostage taker, eh? Well, that's annoying. So, if he did hostage taker, our way of getting it back is the Hellkite. So we can do Ferox here. Ferox and Golter. See how our opponent deals with that. They can hostage take Golter And then potentially, I think, Hellkite 2, 4... Yeah, with a land, Hellkite can potentially do some stuff. I really need to take care of Hostage Taker in a manner that actually gets back whatever he takes. I don't think we have the mana to do that just yet because of the 3 toughness and the fact that we only deal 2 here. I mean, we could force some chump blocks because we have a lot of bodies here. Takes Golter, okay. But 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, can't cast Golter. Probably won't be able to cast Golter either if we go for a big swing here. Because I imagine he's going to block, which reduces the amount of power he has available to him. Ravager Worm is actually maybe the greatest top deck of all time. Beautiful. Alright. So he can... With a triple block, he can kill 1 Ferox. Which is just not going to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to let our opponent assume that these Feroxes... Or assume these creatures are going to survive by not playing our Ravager Worm here. Not going to block with Nikya because we do need the extra mana right now. Oh, just letting Vivian go. Must have a spare one then, I guess.
Every defeat is a new beginning.
Alright, well, Ravager Worm. And we're going to fight Hostage Taker to get my Golter back. So let's bring it in with a 1/1 counter since it's second main phase. And fight the Hostage Taker. Opponent needs a removal spell from Ravager Worm now to respond to this, but does not have it. So Golter comes back. And we get to play Thorn Lieutenant. Pass the turn. Only thing we can do now is activate Nullhide Ferox, and I have no interest in doing any of that. How does our opponent come back from this? They can have an X5 Hydroid Krasis, but X5 doesn't really do them any favours. As far as this board state is concerned. Unfortunately though, I mean, Hellkite will come out as a 5/5. So I guess in that sense it trades off, but we're going to be swinging in with like Ravager Worms, Feroxes and Golters here. So we're going to see a lot of chump blocking. Almost my entire board survives... Ooh, a 6/6. Almost my entire board survives a fine finality as well, so... We've got to be really careful with how we block if he does do like Alpha Strikes with mana open. Because he might be looking to get the -4/-4 to actually hit some things here. Alright, my turn. And land is gorgeous. Alright. Double reds. Hellkite. Spare mana over. Put a counter on Hellkite. And just spend some of it to start pinging some stuff off. I think we get rid of the power here. I suppose we can wait, actually, until combat, because we're not actually spending this floating mana anywhere. Unless it's Thorn Lieutenant activation as well. I'll leave my options open, essentially. So, swing, 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 swing. See what he gets up to here. He can trade Doom Whisperer with Ferox, we're fine with that. He can chump block some stuff. We have Thorn Lieutenant to activate if we want. And we also have Skargan Hellkite as a Twin Bolt effect as well. If we need to upset a few blocks. Only Golter has Trample here, so that's the only guaranteed damage we have. So he's putting 4, 5, 6 in front of the Ferox. This is going to backfire miserably for our opponent. And tries to trade off with the other Ferox. So what we can do is use Hellkite, ping Llanowar Elves and face. And suddenly we get a 2-for-1 block. We trade off with Doom Whisperer. And he's taking 14 here. Yep, let's go. You're at 3, dead to Hellkite next turn. So, I mean, a big Hydroid Krasis will get you the life to not die to Hellkite, but then the rest of the board will kill him. Makes a land drop, shocks it in. Okay, we can't have a board wipe, because there aren't any in that colour that does anything here, so... Yeah, just big Hydroid Krasis, gain 3 up to 4. And that puts him literally dead to Hellkite. I don't even have to swing. Cool. Yeah, this deck is explosive as all hell if Nikya lives. It's pretty sweet. Alright, against this deck, we want to bring in the Immortal Sun versus Vivian Reed. We also want to bring in the Harpooners versus Doom Whisperers and the Hydroid Krasis. At the very least, we get to block them. Early game, Hydroid Krasis get the Harpooner treatment. It's also really nice with Rhythm of the Wild because we can give Harpooner haste, which means that plus X plus O actually can end up mattering a little bit more. So it's pretty sweet there. Other than that, I think that's about it, really. Not too many non-creatures that we have to worry about, not too many enchantments and artifacts. Same goes for Brontodon. Lower to the ground creatures, we can hit a few things, but it's not actually that effective in the grand scheme of things. I mean, we could make an argument for Thrash Threat as well. Not too sure on that one. Carnage Tyrants are going to be amazing. Ravager Worm was awesome there. Nikya was their absolute downfall. So what do we go down here? I think we want to go down the Thorn Lieutenant, because our big creature plan is actually going to work here. So we don't have to go more aggressive. We can go just slower, essentially. Domri's might be an excuse because of Vraska's Contempt as a cut. I'm not against that. I mean, the deck kind of works better without the non-creature stuff anyway, so that could work for us. He's very good at hasting stuff out, though. But we do also have Rhythm of the Wild for that kind of thing. Anything that's just bad here? I don't think so. Pretty sure everything's decent. Yeah, we'll cut the Domri, especially since we brought in the Immortal Sun as well. There's less chance of these two actually showing up at the same time. So they work well individually, which is why I'm not cutting one over the other. But I don't really want both of them in here. Or 2 of one and 1 of the other. Just lower the odds of Immortal Sun backfiring on us. Alright, this is turn 2 Rhythm of the Wild into Growth Chamber Guardian to just grab loads of stuff. I could take this hand. We can cast Rhythm regardless of Llanowar Elves living, so yeah, let's take this. I think it needs a few good top decks here, but maybe Growth Chamber Guardian can carry us to victory here. Especially if we like follow it up after Rhythm of the Wild, then maybe we can riot these out to go wide maybe, and that might be some decent pressure to put on our opponent. Alright, no green mana so far, but I'm assuming, yep, the cast down's here. Cast down's played a lot recently as well, which makes this Nikya list quite amusing. So we have the Growth Chamber Guardian. He needs another cast down essentially to stop us from turning this into a 4/4 and getting another 2/2. Should be nice. I mean, the more 4/4s we have, the better the Golters become and things like that. It's very nice. I'm undecided whether or not I actually want to go with the Growth Chamber plan or if I want to do Rhythm. I guess maybe it's probably the Growth Chamber plan, but he might be holding cast down here. We'll have to see. No, he's got no removal. He's already wasted it on... I say wasted. It was a good hit on Llanowar Elves, but it didn't end up mattering. Our opponent didn't know that, of course. And it is best to shoot these guys off as soon as possible if you can help it. But kind of the same way that this deck functions, like you can get rid of the early game interaction Ouch. That's a problem. You can get rid of the earlier game interaction to slow us down, but eventually we will get to where we need to go, which is exactly this stage right now. We're like one extra land here off of being able to play Ravager Worms. He's only going to get a Growth Chamber Guardian as a 4/4 potentially. I'm assuming he's not running any, but maybe they would be. I'm not sure. So I think it makes sense as a mana efficiency play to actually play Rhythm Growth Chamber next turn as our 5 mana play and just go with a Nullhide here. I was wondering whether or not I want to make this like a 7/7, but I don't think it makes too much of a difference, honestly. I'm guessing they're going to just Growth Chamber as a chump blocker, which means we no longer have to use these Ravager Worms on Hostage Taker. Yeah, it's no longer an issue. What is the fact that our opponent has a pretty sizable board here. That they can actually block Nullhide on, and we get ourselves a Hellkite. Alright, well... Oh, yes, of course, Nullhide is preventing me from playing Rhythm. Yeah. It's not an issue. I mean, we can just play Rhythm here instead. Pay the 2 on Nullhide to play Rhythm. And then we're back on track. I was kind of hoping we'd be able to play the Growth Chamber at the same time, but I don't think it'll matter too much. Because the likelihood is I'm just going to make this a 4/4 anyway with the Adapt 3. Yeah, let's just play Rhythm of the Wild. Because if we get a land next turn for Ravager Worm, then we can do double Riot, and that's going to be pretty sweet. So, as far as blocks are concerned, we can do a 2-for-1 here, because he's going to triple block. We can get rid of Branchwalker Guardian. Is that worth it to me? I think that's worth it. Go for it. Oh. Just getting a chump block. That also works. I was ready to lose my Ferox, but apparently my opponent wasn't. I guess they want to have a 4/4. Let's see if they run Guardians in their deck. They don't have a second green, and they didn't search one up now, so this isn't a Growth Chamber Guardian list. I think some Sultai mid-range lists actually do run it, because it is like a 4/4 for 2 that pulls another 4/4 for 2 out of the deck, which is pretty cool. Alright, so I can actually do Growth Chamber with haste and use the Adapt here, so swinging for 10. That's pretty sweet, if I do say so myself. So take them to 6. Unless they have a cast down for Growth Chamber Guardian, which they do not. Alright then. So they still have to worry about haste creatures, which next turn it's probably going to be like Nullhide Ferox, but it could also be a Ravager Worm fighting one of his blockers. There's a Wild Growth Walker. No extra green for the Explore creatures though. So unless he's got land Explore here, he's not gaining any life and he's not building up his Walker. I'd like my opportunity to kill that before he does get the value though. Ooh, alright then. So, Ravager Worm. Let's do counter haste and then fight. Gonna Memorial to grab Hostage Taker. That's not really gonna work out for them. We fight... I guess we fight the biggest creature. so he has to double block Growth Chamber. Swing, swing, swing. And start forcing some blocks here. He has to block Ferox. He basically has to triple block, really. You can't do that. So he has to block Ravager Worm and trade. Nullhide Ferox. And Chomp. Takes 4 down to 2. He plays, like, Hostage Taker, Steal My Guardian. But he needs a land in order to play 2 creatures here. We're going to Ravager Worm. So he got the land. We're going to Ravager Worm kill the biggest dude on the board and haste through again. So it is just another Sultai mid-range Roffle Stomp, it seems. This deck absolutely destroys Sultai mid-range. It's hilarious. I love it so much. Alright, Ravager Worm, do your thing. Counter, haste. Get fighting. Get out of my way. And that's the game. Good game. Trump blocks, doesn't matter which one, because both are lethal. Wow. Taking down Sultai mid-range. Awesome. Awesome indeed. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe as well for some more Magic the Gathering in the future. We'll be back tomorrow with another Nikya mid-range list. Might try to get out some additional content as well tomorrow, so make sure to hit the bell icon and it'll give you notifications when those videos do come out. So, hope you guys have enjoyed and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.